All right, let's go back. Let's listen to that section again without the processing, and then I'll engage it.
Not that you knew me back then, but it all comes back to me in the end. You kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell.
And clearly hear that Chester just overtakes Mike. Here's with the processing. We're going to bring him back, control him a little bit, make sure that Mike stays front and center.
Not that you knew me back then, but it all comes back to me in the end. You kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell.
Hello, welcome back to the Mix Academy. I'm David Glenn with themixacademy.com, where I'm here to help you take the good, the bad, and the ugly of home recordings and help you deliver radio-ready mixes. In today's video, we're going to take a look at a technique I call frequency-dependent ducking. This is not sidechain compression. This is not just volume automation. It's much more powerful than either of those in this case. Something I use often, almost every mix it seems. We've got all these extra kicks and sub-bass drops and bass all happening at the same time. Certainly something I use mostly on low end, but today we're going to use it on none other than Mike Shinoda and Chester Bennington. May he rest in peace. The vocals from the song In the End. These Multitracks came across my desk anonymously. Did a mix for fun for my VIP members at the Mix Academy. I figured, man, I got to show off some of these techniques for you guys here on the channel. But first, if you're new to the Mix Academy, I want to give you my free vocal mixing checklist to help you deliver professional sounding vocals. Whether you're dealing with an average vocal recording, a poor vocal recording, or even world-class vocals, the vocal mixing checklist is going to take you through my exact process and help you deliver vocals that fit the emotion of the song. Inside this free guide, you're going to learn when to use additive EQ, subtractive EQ, how to determine how much compression is needed to fit the vocalist and the emotion of the performance, when to EQ before or after compression, and then how to create your own signature sound using effects like chorus, stereo imaging, reverb, delay, and more. You can download your free vocal mixing checklist in the link in the description below. All right, so this technique is brought to us by Waves Factory Track Spacer 2.5, not sponsored. And we're going to go to the horse's mouth so I can read to you exactly what they say about their plugin. Track Spacer creates space in a mix by carving the frequencies that a track needs. It applies an inverse EQ curve after analyzing the sidechain signal. Track Spacer features an internal 32-band EQ that reacts to the incoming sidechain signal. It analyzes the spectrum of the sidechain and applies a reversed EQ curve to another track. So all that said, we now have sidechain dependent ducking. Now, if we go into Pro Tools and we take a look at this, we've got some controls, probably one of the funkier looking plugins you've seen. It's not an EQ, it's not a compressor, it's a Waves Factory Track Spacer. So here we go. You have an amount of the effect that you want. You've got the low cut filter and the high cut filter. The very first thing to set this up though, we need to come up here and check our sidechain. So what I've done is I've sent the signal from Mike Shinoda, his main vocal track here. I've created a bus called Mike SC, and I'm sending a signal from Mike's voice into Chester over here using Waves Factory Track Spacer. It's receiving Mike's voice. It's going to push Chester down. There you go. Tutorial over, right? But there's a couple of controls that help us to fine-tune the sound a little bit further. So the low cut, what I did is I decided I wanted to take kind of the meat of the vocal, really wanted to see 800 hertz to around 2K or so. I want that to be pressed down. That's the sweet spot in Mike's voice that's going to be cutting through. He's the front and center. He's rapping. He's got important things to say to us. And then Chester comes in with In the End, holds that note out, and I wanted to push him down there in a way that was not just volume automation or soaking him in a reverb. I wanted this effect. And so what I've done is I've filtered 335 hertz through to 2.5K there, almost 3K. And then I've done this at about a 40% ratio. So how I typically set this up is I'll crank the amount and I'll play the signal and we'll listen to what we're getting.
Not that you knew me back then, but it all comes back to me in the end. You kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to me will eventually.
So you can see that's the full amount. That sounds ridiculous. You would never use that. But what I like to do is set that, and then that's how I'll determine my filters, low and high cut filters. Then once I have something that I feel like, okay, I want to reduce that frequency range, now that's where I'm going to start backing off of this. And 37% is a pretty subtle amount. but it's just the right amount, I felt like, to help push him down while Mike's rapping. And then when Mike's done, Chester's going to pop up on top of the mix, and we've got this beautiful frequency-dependent ducking. There it is again. So we're going to back it off just a little bit. You can hear it here.
Not that you knew me back then, but it all comes back to me in the end. You kept everything inside, and even though I tried.
And what you'll notice is you still have a little bit, I mean, there's not much below 300 or so, but you still got a little bit of that, the warmth of the vocal, and then you've got certainly the sizzle of the vocal is sitting on top, but that's not where Mike is living. That's not where the meat of his vocal is cutting through. He's sitting on top of the mix in that 800 to 2K hertz range. So having that sizzle on top is cool. Now we're going to bring back so it sounds a little more natural. So we're going to go from that 75%, let's go closer to like 50.
Not that you knew me back then, but it all comes back to me in the end. You kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to me.
So now you're starting to hear his vocal come back a little bit more. I even wanted more, so I was living in around 36, 37% for my mix. Let's check that out.
Not that you knew me back then, but it all comes back to me in the end. You kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to me will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried.
So why did I leave some of that sizzle? Well, Chester has that beautiful, aggressive, that grit in his voice and cutting through, and I wanted to keep that and maintain that, but I didn't want the meat of his vocal to dominate Mike. I wanted Mike to finish what he was saying, and then Chester comes in and takes us to that epic chorus. So that's the effect. That's how I set this up. Again, I'm almost always using this on low end. You get those kicks and bass and sub drops and loops and all kinds of stuff. Get working with it, man. You can, using this plugin here, Waves Factory Track Spacer, you can kind of shape things to respect the producer's decision to have a buttload of low end, for lack of a better term, in the mix. So this is one that I go to quite often. Want to show them some love. Definitely check them out. Again, not sponsored, but hope you enjoy that one. Hey, if you like the way that these vocals sound, then you're definitely going to want to check out this video over here where I'm going to show you my exact vocal chain for this mix featuring Mike Shinoda and Chester Bennington. Again, rest in peace from Linkin Park. Thanks for hanging with me, and we'll see you in the next one.